Your answer to the question is adequate, but why is it peculiar to Nigeria, this kind of?
Not at all.
Because you said it's like it's targeted against widows. It's like it's a deliberate, it's a deliberate way of.
Yeah.
Is it like this just in Nigeria, or is that the way widows are treated all over?
It's all over. I think it's more of Africa. Why? And when you went, and since if you can have the United Nations putting aside the day to celebrate widows, then you will know that it's not peculiar to just Nigeria. It's you have these stories across Africa, India. I think it's all over the world. But I think the more developed the country is, the less of this impact that we have. Okay. So we have it. My own thinking, we have more of it in less developed countries, Africa, India, Pakistan, things like Asia, or some parts of Asia.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's I think it's more of maybe development, because when we have a broader perspective, then we understand that this set of people, whether widow or widower, they are vulnerable.
Okay.
They need love, they need understanding, they need support to get on their feet. Because when we keep saying widows, it's just because that the widow, the spouse, the husband of the now widow is typically the breadwinner in our cultures. So when the breadwinner goes away, you have accommodation issues.
Okay.
You
So
when the breadwinner goes away, then the woman left behind is more vulnerable.
So what you're saying is the impact is more on the widow than on the widower.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
We'll come to that.
Yes.
We'll come to that, because there's something I really want to sort out first before we move on to that level in our discussion. Now, the story you gave us, you located it in the eastern part of the country. Would you give us any one or two other instances, maybe from the north or the western part, so that we know that it's a general thing, it's not an eastern issue?
Okay, I've heard about Edo State. I don't know which culture in particular, where the women, the widow now, is expected to carry out some rites as well when the husband passes on, especially when you can say maybe in questionable circumstances.
When the husband passes.
Yes, when the husband passes on, maybe in questionable circumstances. And also, from my interaction with widows and a few widowers, most of the time, if when the man is alive, was alive, if there was no proper relationship with the in-laws, between the wife and her in-laws, if there's no cordial relationship, when the man passes on, it becomes a bigger challenge for the woman to get along. It becomes a bigger challenge for her to get understanding. Some will tell you that everything I say is from my interactions with these people. Some will tell you that when your husband was alive, sure you were enjoying now. Sure you were enjoying. Now that he's dead, come and see who will help you now. That kind of thing. Some will say and most times people that you have even helped within the family, maybe your in-laws, your brother-in-law, your sister-in-law, that you have been nice to when the man was alive. You are having a good life, a good family life. Not flamboyant, but there are certain standard of life you ought to have, which you have been having. But when the man passes on, maybe somebody has had bad belly for you somewhere before. When the man passes, and know that now you are in a more vulnerable position.
Right. So let's go to specifics. We know that it's not a bed of roses. In fact, the fact that you've lost someone who is as close as a spouse is enough challenge. Specifically, can you identify some of the areas, where you have noticed or observed that the widows especially need help? where do they need support most, from your experience?
Thank you, Ellen. So far, the top burner is accommodation. In my ministry, we have we reserve accommodation for widows. So we house widows, genuine people that have genuine and very desperate cases.
Okay.
So we house them. We don't give them money to go and rent house, because sometimes you give them money to go and rent house, they would divert the money to something else. Maybe feeding, maybe something more they feel more pressing.
Okay.
So to add value, we provide accommodation. This is the house, this is the key, this is where you stay. Then you can sort out yourself from there, maybe your business or your office or market, but at least now you know you have
a roof
to stay, you and your children, somewhere safe.
Yeah.
So what I've observed is, strangely and painfully enough, when the breadwinner passed on, the house they used to stay, I always have this example that refused to leave my head. This woman and her husband, they are staying in a family compound, let me use that word, that kind of setting whereby you have everybody have their rooms allocated to them, maybe by their father.
Yeah.
So this is your room, or this is your flat, this is your own. Some will rent their own house, or some will say, I will stay with my family. Then when the man passes on, they throw that widow away. Live with your children. Then they put that place on rent, or they sell it. I have a specific issue whereby the husband, or let me say the late husband of the widow, his best friend came to buy that apartment at peanuts from the family, and the woman and her children were asked to relocate.
This is mind-boggling. Sometimes it's
so it is real. So it's accommodation. Number one.
Yes.
I remember that we're talking about the vulnerable widows.
Yes.
We have widows that their husband left things in place.
Okay.
And it's maintained. Then there are some that maybe on their own they are also doing very well.
And when you say in place, you're talking about will.
They have
that
will,
is,
maybe the things
documented.
The man bought them in the wife's name.
Okay.
Or that is things are set, and maybe also the family, the in-laws are well enlightened and kind-hearted.
Okay.
So they'll put everything in place to support their late brother or late son's widow and children, education, every other thing.
Okay.
So we're not talking about those people. We're talking about these people that some of them can't even read and write. Like in my ministry, when we have fellowships, we have interpreters.
And these ones are in the majority.
In the majority, some can read and write. Some is just the local language. Some did not go to school. Some didn't even have a business on ground when the man was alive. They were full-time housewives. Let's put it that way. So back to your question is accommodation. Most of them get displaced. After the passing on of their spouse, they get displaced. Or maybe no money to renew rent.
Yeah.
Maybe no money to renew rent.
Okay.
So followed by that is feeding, is food. Is food. So that's why most times in our fellowships, we try to have something to eat.
Okay.
We try to have something to eat. Whether cooked or raw, we try to have something to eat. So food. And let me explain that further. There was some time ago that we had an outreach and we had cooked food, that is food packs. Somebody came to meet me. He said, "Mommy, this food you gave me is just for me. What about my children at home?"
True.
And I looked at it that this woman, this widow, she's making good sense.
Yes.
Okay, she'll come here now, you give her food pack, she will eat. What is she going to take home to the children who are at home? So we put that into consideration in our plannings subsequently, that they should have something they can take home, no matter how small. So feeding is
and this
key.
one is only once in a while, like once or twice in a week. So what happens to the rest of the days in the week?
So
Serious.
it's something that has to be sustained.
You
Okay.
see, all of this, you know, what it brings to my mind is planning, the issue of planning. We've talked about vulnerability of the widows. This road is not one that we've been driving on this road for
Like forever.
ages. We know that the chances of a woman becoming a widow before the husband becomes a widower, the chances of a woman becoming widowed is higher, you know, than for the man, you know, the other way around. So why don't we ever plan for these things? Why don't we ever we know that we will not live on earth forever. Somebody will leave, will go one day. So why don't we always plan for that? Like we plan to build houses, like we plan to send children to school. Why don't we plan for widowhood?
I really don't have an answer to that because I'm not in government.
No, but individuals.
It's not even government.
It's not
Yeah,
government.
planning,
So-
you know, that, it will come one day. One day I will retire, one day I will die.
Why wouldn't the men think about it?
It's like
and probably
insurance.
set up the women, no matter what, on what level, you know, so the wife is not 100% dependent on the resources of the husband.
I think it's getting better with more awareness, with more advocacy. It's getting better that in the sense that, like you said, it's a given. It's just like saying nobody lives forever.
Nobody
Even if you are 150, one day you will die. So it's a given. Just like when you plan the estate of your for your family, or you do insurance and do that. This is something that people need to make intentional efforts to address.
Yeah.
Whether you are a woman or you are a man, whether a husband or wife, your spouse can pass on, you can pass on.
Yeah.
So what is left on the ground for the children, for example, or the spouse that is left behind, or a man that the wife passes on suddenly, is going to learn to be a mother and a father at the same time, which he did not even prepare for.
Yeah.
He did not prepare for. So those are things that we have to prepare for. We have to face. We have to face. It might not be palatable.
Yes, it's not
but
the most...
it's something that we need to face. It's not palatable to say, okay, I'm a widow.
Like a husband and wife sitting down and talking, okay, at the event when I die.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the subject matter of death is
We
not
have to plan. And we have to plan in conjunction with our families, that is the in-laws. If, for example, a man states from day one that my wife and I, we have this, for example, let it be known that it's my wife and I that built this house, for example.
Okay.
So if, for example, the man passes on suddenly, no in-law or uncle will come from somewhere and say, okay, come and move out.
Yeah.
Because the man has made it clear from day one that this place belongs to my wife and I. My wife and I, we are one.
Okay. Okay. Now, we talk about vulnerability, John, and a lot of the wives, the moment the husbands go, they are like totally broken. Their self-esteem is gone. They do not have courage to face any member of their husband's family. As you meet with women who are there now, is there any opportunities, you know, where you also pass on this message to women who are not there yet, you know, in terms of building confidence in the women, even the ones who are now widowed, building confidence in them to be able to stand up to in-laws, whoever, to say, no, this is who I was one with my husband, and this and this and this and this are the things we have set down, even if there are no papers, you know, to confirm this thing. Self-esteem and courage in the women. Are you dealing with that?
Thank you, Ellen, again. Yeah, we see that a lot. And that is why we make intentional efforts to enlighten people who come for our fellowships. It's not only widows that come for our fellowships. It's for everybody that you are a wife, you are a mother. What are you doing with being a full-time wife? It's not glorifying to say you are a full-time wife. You leave your husband to do everything, You say, okay, my husband is trying for me, he's doing very well, he loves me so much, he provides even up to my toiletries.
As if you are an invalid.
As if you are invalid. Especially those that some are educated, even if you are not educated, you have something you can add. There's a value you can add to your husband. So it's not really a beautiful thing in this day and age for a woman to sit back and say her husband provides everything. My husband is very nice to me, he loves me so much. You are not doing yourself any good. Because once that man leaves, for example, that is why the women are not able to stand.
Okay.
Well,
because
sorry, go ahead.
Because before now, the man says everything. The man does everything. The man provides everything. You are just there to sit pretty.
Like a puppet.
But you see, we're cultural animals, and our culture, allows for or encourages that position of, the man is the provider and the woman is the carer. So wouldn't we be, shaking the culture table if we now say, no, I want to be...
No. We are not saying women should take over the role of their husband. Okay. You should be a valuable support to your husband.
Okay.
That is what we are advocating, or I am advocating, or we're talking about right now. Not that you should go and be you are not the breadwinner.
True.
It is out of place. It's an aberration. It is unbiblical for the woman to be the breadwinner in a family. Okay. You are not the breadwinner. The man is the head of the home.
Even let's even leave the biblical part out. In some cultures, when a man dies, the brother takes over the...
That's
the
the
brother
part.
exactly.
So
if he gets too powerful, how will I take her over? Yes.
So, but women, now that we are progressing, we are growing. We are not the way we used to be in our parents' time.
But you are disrupting culture.
No, but society is dynamic, John.
Yes.
Society is dynamic. Are you tying Kente and
but culture is a structure now.
It's a structure, but it moves with time.
Culture is also dynamic.
If you find stuff that aren't working anymore, there's need for people to move ahead. Now, when you were talking earlier on, you were specific on things that happen to widows after their spouses have gone. Can you tell us more about it? And how women are able to get out and wake up and take their lives back again? Because this is the crux of the matter, that the woman is able to live again after all of the issues she's gone through at the when her husband passes.
Another one, these are deep issues, but we have to talk about them. Another one is sexual molestation of widows. Sexual molestation, because they are vulnerable. They are vulnerable in a lot of ways. So I give you a typical example again. A widow is left with her 3 children, 4 children, 5 children, whatever number of children she and her husband have. And because somebody who is close to the family, this is another real life scenario again. Her husband's friend that she thought that she can confide in, will get some support, maybe financial support or whatever, before she gets on her feet, makes sexual advances at her.
If I have to help you, you have to do something.
Exactly. If you cannot agree to this, please move out.
Okay. How about the children?
The children are also impacted as well, because you have some cases where it's somebody that has finished eating that goes to school. Some of them stop school.
And early marriages.
Though I've not really had any cases of early marriage. That is forced marriage.
Yes, forced.
I have a case of somebody, one of them that got married early, but it wasn't like it was consensual.
Okay.
Yes. early marriage.
It wasn't for necessity.
It was not for necessity, yes. But I believe such cases might be somewhere, but I've not had really encounters with that. But what once I've really encountered is children will stop school.
Okay.
Who stop school, and or some who miss some terms. Some they miss some terms, then we are able to get them back, maybe pay some balance fees, or talk to the proprietress that please let the children return to school. We'll pay blah blah blah. And there are some who stop completely. So the children are impacted, and emotionally too. You will agree with me that if a mother is going through this kind of things, some of these things we have listed, the children's psyche will also be affected.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Their self-esteem in the society will also be impacted negatively.
Yeah, that's right.
And some of them can get into relationships that they're not supposed to get into, just to escape from what is going on at home or going on with their mom.
Well, we're talking about widows. Okay, it's International Widows Day. But for a moment, could we just look at widowers? Because widowers also exist.
Exactly.
And they may have even greater problems than the widows. Is there anything you want to tell us about widowers?
Are they part of your...
Yes.
Do you have men?
Yes, I have men, but they are very shy.
Wow.
They are very shy. It's only one or two who come out actively. Some when they come, they just sit at the back. So it's only one or two who come out actively, who participate, who you can see around that they want to identify with us, and not that they are hiding. So what I've noticed is, the man's ego is always there.
Yeah.
So when a man is left in that situation, the ego is broken. The ego is broken because sometimes, now remember that we're talking about vulnerable widow and widowers. So you have some men, some widowers who are vulnerable as well, and who are strong enough to share their vulnerability with you.
Okay.
Some are not strong enough to share.
Okay.
They'll be at the back end, and let me use the word suffer in silence.
Okay.
So that is what I've noticed. They prefer to suffer in silence than to come out and say, okay, I'm a widower, I'm vulnerable, I have this challenge. How can you help me? How can you help my children? How can you help me get on my feet again? Or how can you help me overcome this emotion that I'm passing through?
Yeah.
So what I've noticed more is they are not coming forth like the widows. The widows they can come here and lie down and tell you how they are feeling.
Okay. Oh boy.
They can tell you, like the ones I've told you now, they can come and tell you everything what they are feeling.
Okay. And when you talk about feelings emotionally, I'm asking, for how long does society accept for a widow or a widower, for example, to move on, like get a wife or get a husband? For how long does it take for them to be emotionally ready, to love again?
That would be a personal, per individual basis. Okay. Because if you are not emotionally ready and you go into marriage, you are just setting yourself for a failure.
Because I know some in some part of the country, when this happens, they're like, the husband has been gone for just a year, the wife has been gone for just 6 months and stuff, and they're remarried, and so there are people talking about it and not too happy. That's why I wanted to find out.
Okay, I think some cultures have different dates. I really don't know.
Okay.
But I know that it has to be per person basis.
Individuals.
Because in our meetings, we encourage widowers to marry.
Okay.
When they find the right person and they're emotionally stable enough to marry. Bearing in mind their children, I always tell my members, don't go and marry a man that will molest your children because you are lonely.
Okay.
Or because you want to be remarried, you want to marry again, you want to be Mrs. again. Bear in mind your children. Those children should be paramount.
Okay.
They should be paramount. It should be a consideration for you when you want to get married, or when you want to decide that, okay, this man, I'm in love with this man, or this woman, I'm in love with this woman, I want to marry.
Okay.
So that's my counsel.
The children are number one.
Yes, that's my counsel. The children should be number one.
Okay.
Because if you marry somebody that is not aligned with you and your children are not happy, you are not happy.
True.
I had a personal experience that somebody told me that why don't you send your children to their father's family so that we can build our new home.
Wow.
So you have cases like that. I see a widow that is, because you can know when a woman is in that line of she's dating somebody, she's looking here and there, she's looking pen, all those kind of things. And I called them. I know the line you are following. This man you are following, is accept your children?
Okay.
Is he going to help you bring up your children? Or are you going to tell you to send your children to your in-laws later? So please consider that.
Yeah.
If you don't consider, if you consider that before you make that decision, if everything is fine, you go ahead and remarry. It's fine.
Okay, now you've pointed out a few support, systems. You talked about the family, your outreach, and the
church.
The church.
And maybe the mosque. I think, because funny enough, I have Muslims who come to my fellowship, and I welcome them because it's not a religion thing. It's not religion.
It's not a religion, and that's the reason I'm asking this question.
It's not a religion thing.
Where is the place of government in all of this? What is government doing?
I will give you an example again. I was planning a medical outreach last year. I think that was August. A full-blown medical outreach. And we, for the sake of compliance, we contacted the local government. My outreach is in Ogombo, in Aja. And we were asked to see the local government area, the HO, health officer, so that you get aligned. Because it's a medical stuff, you should get aligned with the local government and they provide the support they can provide. It was an uphill task.
There's no priority at all.
There was no priority for it. It was an uphill task. It looked as if we were trying to do something that is, I don't know that it concerns only us. It doesn't concern government. So that brings us to your question. Where's the place of government?
Yeah.
I was thinking when we liaise with the local government, the health sector,
because the social welfare department.
We got very minimal support. And it went on for a long time. I went to local government severally. Sometimes they were even dodging me. They were even dodging me. I said, I'm not asking for money. We need your personnel. Later, they gave us some few personnel.
Okay, we're being told that we need to wrap up this conversation. But perhaps somebody just tuned in like 2-3 minutes ago and didn't get quite a lot of our conversation. What would be your parting word as the world celebrates International Day for Widows? What would be your parting words to anybody who has just tuned in and needs to run with that vision?
Thank you for holding such a program again. Thank you for your interest for this set of people in our communities. It's a reality that we have widows and widowers in our midst. It's a reality that we have vulnerable ones in our midst as well. I will encourage anybody, male or female, government, church, anybody, man, woman, look for genuine organizations that support widows and collaborate. And if you have requests from organizations that they want to hold program to support this group of people, widows and widowers, support the best you can. You can support by advocacy, you can support with your money, you can support with your time, your skill, your prayers, your kindness. Even when you meet a widow one-on-one, show some level of kindness. Don't try and judge. Don't just try and judge. Just show some level of understanding and kindness to this set of people that
so we must kick out the discrimination.
No bias.
Yes, no bias. Thank you so much for coming. This is indeed a clarion call to philanthropies, to civil societies, to non-governmental organizations, the media, especially women lawyers who help to provide, the legal angle to women who need them, and others to join the crusade, because we are all victims. What affects one does affect all of us. We have mothers, we have sisters, we are women ourselves, and at some point in time, these things will happen, even the other way around. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you.